Today, I'm going to tell you about a film called Spirit's Homecoming, in which Comfort Woman dies a horrible death and returns home years later. In 1943, the Japanese invaded Korea. 14-year-old Youngmin was lively and cute. Although his family was not rich, he had a loving father and mother. On this day, Youngmin's mother beat her for being naughty. It hurt her mother's heart. Her mother felt Youngmin's injured leg and regretted it, so she made her a peace talisman. The next day, the Japanese soldiers came to take Youngmin away. On her way out, her mother gave Youngmin a peace talisman to wear, hoping it would help her avoid disaster. Soon Youngmin and many other girls of her age were put on a train. With the sound of the train roaring, they arrived at the end of the line. It was a comfort station. The girls were victims of the Japanese soldiers' lust. At that moment, the caretaker of the comfort station took a liking to 14-year-old Youngmin. After a routine inspection, she was taken to a small dark room. But just when the young Youngmin didn't know what to expect, a Japanese soldier came in. She shouted "Long live the Emperor" in fear, hoping to escape. But it was all in vain. The Japanese soldier showed no mercy. The other girls were going through the same thing. The room was filled with screams, cries, and curses like a hell on earth. Soon Youngmin met a different kind of soldier, Tanaka. Tanaka wasn't like the other soldiers. He thought Youngmin was like his sister at home, so he never wanted to hurt her. Every time he came in, he just chatted. The scene changes. Only on rare occasions do the girls get together to talk and sing, although they have no personal freedom. But Youngmin believed that one day they would escape. Soon the opportunity came. Youngmin got a map of the army garrison from Tanaka. At that moment, one of the girls agreed to help them lure the soldiers away at night to create a chance of escape. Everything is going according to plan. Soldiers leave, Youngmin sneaks away with the men. But it wasn't long before the girl Boonsuk disappeared. When the soldiers realized that someone had escaped, they started searching. And Boonsuk happened to be caught by them. The soldiers asked Boonsuk about the whereabouts of her accomplices. But Boonsuk refused to tell them. The girls, who had returned to look for Boonsuk, saw this. The kind-hearted Youngmin decided to save Boonsuk. As expected, the girls went back to the comfort center. The Japanese soldiers forced them to take off their clothes and humiliate them so that they would remember the lesson. However, underneath the clothes, without exception, every girl was bruised and battered to the point of shock. The next day, Boonsuk, beaten to death, and a few other girls in poor health were taken away. And waiting for them was the blackened muzzle of a gun. But Tanaka couldn't pull the trigger. As a result, he was mercilessly shot by the captain. The bodies of the girls were thrown into the incinerator. However, the Japanese were finally defeated. Before leaving Korea, they had to destroy the evidence of their crimes. The girls who witnessed it all. The Japanese soldiers then gathered the girls together. But at the critical moment when they were about to shoot, the North Korean soldiers appeared. In the chaos, Youngmin escaped with his friend Younghee. At that moment, a dying Japanese soldier fired his last shot. Youngmin took the bullet for Younghee. She buried her body and soul in this ghost town. 60 years later, Younghee has gray hair. She was the only one who survived that year. All these years, she couldn't forget what happened back then. During a grand festival in the ghost town, Younghee met Youngmin by invoking her spirit. That's how she got her wish and opened her heart. At the end of the film, Youngmin returned to the home she had longed for. It's as if everything was just a dream. He woke up as a young man. Her parents say, "What took you so long?" as if Youngmin had never left. The film uses a fresh and emotional style to contrast with the sadness of the Comfort Girls, to create a heavy and deep content depth, and presents Japan's past war atrocities in a clear light. A nation's shame should never be forgotten. Do you have any feelings after watching this film?